Hello, Mrs. Airwax. My name is Shahid Afzal. I'm a trainee solicitor with Bodge, Dodge and Hassel, which is a local law firm of solicitors, and I'm a trained mediator as well. First of all, before moving on to the settlement agreement, I would like to explain you what basically mediation stands for, and moreover, what are the duties of a mediator while serving the clients. Before moving to the settlement agreement, I would like to inform you with the advantages and the rules of mediation. Very basic rule is that you have to keep it confidential. You don't have to inform anyone outside the mediation who doesn't know about the mediation. While the mediation is in process, it's totally confidential. You don't have to discuss it outside, and you have the option to leave anytime you would like to. Role of mediator is to give best decision, like best solution. Best solution. Basically, a mediator is not a judge, and he doesn't pass judgments, and mediator is strictly impartial, and mediator is a facilitator, not an advisor or a judge. So, further moving on to the most ground rules of mediation is that each party has full opportunities to speak. Everyone will get their own time to speak. Speak freely about all the matters regarding anything, not only land. It can be your neighbors causing you tension, abusive behavior, anything regarding the dispute. And do not interrupt while the other party is speaking while the mediation. Everyone will speak on in their own turn, and if there is a matter of contention, write it down, please, and mention it when it's your time to speak. And moreover, avoid rude behavior, aggressive behavior, and most important, abusive speech should not be in your discussion part. And now, further moving on, the settlement agreement, which was made possible on 24th day of February 2014 between Esmeralda Airworks and Anakim Skydiver. Now, basically, this is a settlement agreement between the two parties, as Mr. Anakim Skydiver is gonna have a settlement agreement between you and him. So basically, the first party is Mrs. Esmeralda Airwax of 35 Stanbell Road, Morley, Hertfordshire, and the second party above is Anakim Skydiver of 37 Stanbell Road, Morley, Hertfordshire. So basically, there's a dispute between two parties concerning a boundary dispute that both number 35 Stanbell and number 37 Stanbell Road are encountering. The parties have adjoining driveways, as there is no dividing fence and exact boundary lines were never determined. Both parties had got on well prior to issues by erecting a fence over his neighbor. Mrs. Esmeralda Airwax is suffering from a bad back pain, which means if the fence erects, it will be difficult for her to get out of the car in a compact space. So both neighbors are having a dispute as to what the correct boundary line is. Some of the non-legal issues that took place were Anakim would listen very extreme loud music while his kitchen window was open, causing Mrs. Esmeralda Airwax dog to continuously bark, and Esmeralda's dog, moreover, Esmeralda's dog used to excrete on Anakim's land, and moreover, Esmeralda's fence and family park across Anakim's driveway while visiting Esmeralda's, and Anakim has a problem by reversing his car while Esmeralda's family and friends are over and they park their cars right near to the driveway of Anakim. So basically, there's another problem that Anakim eats curries, and while he throws the food waste in the bin, he leaves the bin open. The lid is open of the bin, and it causes a very foul smell, which causes disturbance to Mrs. Earwax. So now the parties entered mediation to solve the dispute on the boundary line issue and non-legal issues that had given a dispute between both parties with the assistance of mediator Mr. Shahid Afzal, that is me, and furthermore, I would like to inform you with the agreed terms. I would like to inform you that the parties have hereby agreed the following. The first one is One Direction songs can be played as long as the window is closed, and it should not be extremely loud, causing disturbance to Mrs. Earwax. If it gets too loud, then Mr. Skydiver must not refuse to turn the volume down. The exception to opening the window is when there is hot weather, and even at that time, Mr. Skydiver must listen to music at a reasonable volume. The second is if the dog is constantly barking loudly, it must go into its kennel inside the house. If any excrement is found in Mr. Anakim's land, it must be cleaned up immediately by Mr. and Mrs. Earwax, and take the dog for training in order to stop this. Furthermore, if anything is being thrown in the bin, the lid must always be closed and ensure that no foul smell leaks out of the bin. If the lid is not closed properly, then Mrs. Earwax has the right to put the bin in front of Mr. Anakim's door. However, if the lid is closed and there is no smell, both parties will, and if there is still smell, I'm sorry, if there is still smell, both parties will agree that nothing can be done. If Mrs. Earwax's friends and relatives come to visit, they must not park in the driveway, but find other parking nearby to ensure space is given to Mr. Skydiver when he wishes to reverse his car, unless he gives consent to park in his driveway. Due to Mrs. Earwax's back problem, she needs sufficient space in and out of the car. Mr. Skydiver has the right to erect a fence to divide the driveway. Therefore, it has been agreed to divide the driveway in the middle of each party's boundary proposals, given partly 15 centimeter as opposed to the full of 30 centimeters. Now, moreover, the parties further agree on that this agreement shall be legally binding on the parties, and anyone else attending or involved, as I mentioned before in the mediation, will keep confidential and treat as privileged all information disclosed to them prior to and during the mediation, and shall not disclose any information to any person outside. All information disclosed at or prior to the mediation shall be without prejudice, privileged, and indemnifiable in any judicial or arbitral proceedings, unless any such information would otherwise be disclosable therein. Now, I've got this settlement agreement signed by both parties, Mrs. Esmeralda Earwax and Mrs. Anakim Skydiver, dated 24 February 2014, and I would like to advise both parties that now they have a settlement agreement and they can work according to their settlement agreement. So, as we know that it's not just the one party's it's not for just one party's benefit. It's a rule of give and take, that one party should not be likely to gain everything. Thank you for listening. Shahid Afzal.